The station was quiet that evening, the usual hum of machinery blending with the soft flicker of distant stars outside the reinforced windows. Kale, a human engineer assigned to the border station Haven 12, moved along the narrow corridors, adjusting a panel that had been sparking intermittently for days. The work was routine, but his mind was restless. Life on the edge of explored space was lonely. Most humans here had little company besides the occasional trader or alien diplomat passing through. Kale had long ago grown accustomed to the solitude, but tonight, a strange feeling lingered in the air. Something was off. It started as a soft whir near the storage bay. Kale frowned. The bay was empty except for stacked crates and maintenance drones that usually kept themselves out of human paths. Yet the sensors had detected movement, a life form, small, irregular readings. Kale approached cautiously, tool kit in hand. The door hissed open, revealing a figure crouched in the shadows. At first, he thought it was a station trespasser or a stowaway, but as the figure moved into the light, his breath caught. The creature before him was unlike anything he had seen. Her skin shimmered faintly, almost translucent under the station lights, and her eyes held a depth of fear and intelligence that unsettled him. She was thin, clearly exhausted, and her body seemed to glow faintly in patches, like bioluminescent veins running under her skin. Kale realized instantly she was not from any nearby human-colonized system. She was an alien and a refugee by the looks of her. Kale's first thought was protocol. Refugees were supposed to be reported, quarantined, or detained for medical screening. But looking at her now, curled up like a small, fragile animal, he felt something else, compassion, a strange, unfamiliar urge to help her, even at the risk of breaking station rules. "Hey," he said softly, raising a hand to show he meant no harm. I can help you. Come with me." The alien hesitated, her large eyes flicking between him and the open corridor. For a long moment she said nothing. Then, almost imperceptibly, she nodded. Her trust was a quiet, fragile thing, but it was there. Kale led her to his quarters, keeping the doors closed behind them, careful to shield her from station security cameras. Inside, he guided her to a small bed. "You can rest here," he said. "I'll get you food, water, whatever you need." She hesitated again, then lowered herself gently onto the bed. Her body seemed to shimmer more brightly as she relaxed slightly. Kale noticed a strange warmth emanating from her, and he frowned. It was unlike any heat source he had ever measured. His human instincts told him to stay calm, but his scientific curiosity flared. He returned to the small galley and brought her food. She took it silently, moving with a grace that made him realize her species was built differently, more agile, more delicate, and probably far more resilient in other ways than he could guess. She spoke no human language, only emitting soft hums and musical tones that somehow communicated confusion and gratitude. Kale didn't know her words, but her eyes spoke clearly. She was scared, hungry, and in need of help. Over the next few hours, Kale observed her carefully. He checked her vitals with his handheld scanner, noting the unusual patterns in her physiology. Her pulse was uneven, her temperature higher than expected, but her body seemed to stabilize whenever he was near. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable at first, but Kale felt it too, a calm spreading through the room, a sense of connection that went beyond words. "This is strange," he muttered to himself. "Never seen anything like this." She looked at him then, her luminous eyes fixed on his face. Kale froze. In that gaze he saw not only fear but recognition, something deeper, almost like acknowledgement. He shook his head. It couldn't be real. Humans weren't biologically compatible with aliens, not in this way. And yet the effect was undeniable. The hours passed slowly. Kale made her a small corner of his room comfortable, laying out blankets, adjusting the lights to be gentler, and even bringing a soft hum from the station's life support system into the room, thinking it might help her relax. The alien lay still for a long time, her eyes closed, her breathing deep and even. The faint glow along her skin intensified, pulsating like a heartbeat. Kale watched in awe, feeling a mix of fear and fascination. Eventually, exhaustion overcame her vigilance. She drifted into a deep sleep and Kale stepped back, unsure what to do. His thoughts swirled. What species was she? Why had she fled? Was it even safe to help her? Station rules were clear. Aliens of unknown origin were to be reported immediately. But Kale couldn't bring himself to do that. Not now. Not while she was like this, vulnerable, trusting him. The next morning, Kale woke to find her still asleep. Her glow had become steady, almost comforting now. He realized something odd. Her glow seemed to respond to his presence. When he moved closer, it brightened slightly. When he stepped back, it dimmed. He frowned. There had to be a scientific explanation, but he had no frame of reference. He decided to call the station's medical AI for advice, careful to withhold her exact location for now. The AI scanned the data he provided. Species unknown, it replied. Physiological readings anomalous. Vital signs within survival limits. Recommend isolation and continuous observation. Unknown effects on humans detected. Kale muttered under his breath. Unknown effects, huh? That's one way to put it. He continued his observation. Hours turned into days. The alien ate sparingly, moving with a cautious grace, always observing him with wide, intelligent eyes. She began to make small, soft noises, almost like vocal experiments, testing the human sounds. Kale responded patiently, using gestures and simple words. A fragile bond began to form, silent but undeniable. One night, as Kale sat near the bed, she stirred. Her eyes opened, and for the first time she focused directly on him. Her glow flared brightly, bathing the room in a soft, golden light. Kale froze, startled. The alien made a sound that vibrated through the room, a harmonic resonance that seemed almost musical. Then she extended a hand toward him. Kale hesitated. He wasn't sure what she wanted, but the urge to comfort her was overwhelming. He placed his hand near hers. The moment their fingertips almost touched, a ripple of warmth ran through him. He felt it in his chest, in his mind, an inexplicable connection, like her body was synchronizing with his own. You're safe," he whispered, unsure why the words felt necessary. She tilted her head, eyes glowing brighter, and repeated the sound. Kale realized she was trying to communicate, to tell him something important. He didn't understand the language, but the meaning was clear. She trusted him. That night, Kale lay awake long after she had fallen asleep again, thinking about what had happened. He had given her a bed, a small act of kindness, and in return, she had responded in a way he couldn't explain. The connection he felt went beyond biology, beyond species. It was personal. For the first time in his life on the edge of human space, Kale felt that humans might be capable of more than survival, more than adaptation. Perhaps they could be catalysts, bridges between species, unexpected stabilizers in a galaxy often torn by fear and suspicion. Days passed, and the alien continued to recover. Her glow became more consistent, no longer flickering erratically. She began experimenting with sounds more deliberately, almost as if learning to mimic or interact with him. Kale responded in kind, talking softly, humming melodies, trying to teach her small human words. She would repeat them, awkwardly at first, then with surprising clarity. One evening, as Kale returned from a maintenance run, he found her sitting on the edge of the bed, glowing steadily, her eyes fixed on him. She made a new sound, a longer, more deliberate vibration. And then softly, in her own language, she said something that sent a chill through his spine. The word mate. Kale froze. His mind raced. Was he misunderstanding? Could this word mean what he thought it did in her species' culture? He took a cautious step closer. She extended her hand, and the glow between them seemed to pulse faster, warmer. The connection was undeniable. Kale swallowed hard. This was no ordinary refugee. Her species, biology, and culture were far more complex than anything humans had anticipated. And somehow, simply offering her a bed, a place to rest, had triggered this bond. Something extraordinary had begun, something that could change how humans were seen in this part of the galaxy. For the first time, Kale realized that kindness, simple and human, could create effects far beyond what science could predict. And as he stood there, watching her glow softly in the dim light of his room, he understood that he had just taken the first step into something bigger than himself, bigger than humanity alone, a bond that could reshape lives and perhaps the future of interstellar relations. And though he didn't fully understand it yet, Kale felt a quiet thrill of excitement. The galaxy was dangerous, the rules unclear, but he had learned something vital. Sometimes, humanity's greatest power wasn't weapons or technology, it was empathy. Days turned into a week, and Kale noticed subtle changes in the alien. Her glow became steadier, almost like a soft light radiating from within her. It pulsed gently in rhythm with her breathing, and it seemed to respond to his presence. Whenever he entered the room, it brightened. Whenever he moved away, it dimmed. Kale couldn't explain it scientifically, but the effect was real. He felt calmer, more focused, as if some unseen energy had begun to connect them. The alien had begun to move more confidently now. At first, she had stayed on the bed, barely standing. Now she walked slowly around the room, examining his equipment, touching the walls, even tilting her head curiously at his tools. She made soft humming sounds, sometimes imitating the beep of the life support monitors or the clink of metal tools. Kale watched her closely, fascinated. He realized she wasn't just surviving, she was learning. One evening, Kale sat across from her, holding a small tray of food. She approached cautiously, her eyes glowing faintly. She extended her hand, taking the tray with careful grace. Kale smiled. "Good, you're learning fast." She tilted her head, studying him, then made a soft sound, repeating it several times. Kale realized she was trying to mimic his voice. "You're saying something," he said gently. "I don't understand yet, but you're trying." She hummed in reply, then placed the tray down and touched her chest. Her glow brightened, then spread slightly to her arms. Kale froze for a moment. He felt warmth, a tingling sensation in his chest, almost as if her energy was reaching out and blending with his own. It was impossible, yet undeniable. His mind raced. Humans were never supposed to interact with alien biology in this way. But here she was, responding to him, connecting with him. Kale realized that this bond was something extraordinary, something far beyond normal science. Over the next few days, their interaction deepened. The alien learned to recognize basic words, responding to simple commands and gestures. She began to follow him when he moved around his quarters, mimicking small actions, turning on a light, placing a tool back in its rack, even adjusting the bed sheets. Her intelligence was remarkable, but it was her response to him that was most unusual. The glow pulsed stronger whenever they touched hands, whenever he spoke directly to her, or even when he simply entered the room. One morning, the station announced a routine check of all personnel and living quarters. Kale's heart sank. If anyone saw the alien in his room, they would report her immediately. She was still an unknown species, and no one could predict how others would react. Kale had to act quickly. He approached her cautiously. "Listen, someone might come to check the quarters today. You need to stay hidden, okay?" She tilted her head, glowing faintly, then made a soft sound. Kale understood it as agreement. He guided her to a small storage closet behind a panel, one he had modified for maintenance supplies. It was cramped, but it was safe. "Stay here," he whispered. "I'll be back soon." The check began, and Kale moved through the corridors with his usual calm. Security officers scanned the area, life support drones passed by, but none noticed the faint glow of the alien hidden in the small closet. When it was over, Kale returned to her, relief washing over him. "See, that wasn't so bad," he said softly. She stepped out cautiously, brushing past him, and her glow brightened as if to thank him. As the week progressed, Kale began noticing an unusual effect. Her glow seemed to extend beyond her body, faintly touching objects near her. Small tools she handled appeared to hum slightly, and even the air felt warmer, more alive when she was around. Kale began calling it the aura, though he had no idea what caused it. Scientists aboard the station might have theories, but Kale felt it more than he thought about it. The aura seemed linked to him. His presence strengthened it, his absence weakened it. One afternoon, while adjusting a console, Kale noticed a sudden spike in the alien's glow. She had walked over to the window and was staring out at the stars, her eyes wide and shimmering. The glow was now intense enough to cast soft light across the room. Kale approached cautiously. You're getting stronger," he said softly. She turned to him, and in a moment that took his breath away, she reached out, placing her hand near his chest. The aura surged, brushing over him. Kale felt it like a current, a pulse of energy connecting them. His mind spun. He could sense her thoughts not clearly but emotionally. Fear, trust, gratitude, and something more, something profound. He stepped back, astonished. This bond, it's real," he whispered. She hummed, a long, melodic sound, and her eyes shone brighter. Then she spoke again in her language, the word mate repeating softly like a song. Kale's heart raced. He had expected gratitude, trust, but not this. Not a term that in her species carried deep meaning. Kale knew then that the bond was more than survival. She had chosen him. Not just for shelter, but as a connection, something intimate in her biology and culture. The implications were staggering. Humans were not supposed to be biologically compatible with aliens in this way. And yet, here she was, glowing, responding, calling him her mate. News of the alien's presence could not remain hidden forever. Soon, the station's administration would notice the anomaly in energy readings and the reports of unexplained biological readings. Kale needed a plan. He could not allow her to be taken, studied, or separated from him. Not after everything they had shared. Late that night, Kale spoke to her gently. "I don't know what the future holds. Others may come looking for you. They may not understand you like I do." She listened quietly, her glow dimming slightly, as if acknowledging his worry. "But I promise you this, I will protect you, no matter what." She tilted her head, her eyes glowing softly, then reached for his hand. When their fingers brushed, the aura flared, surrounding them both in warmth and light. Kale felt something he had never felt before, a connection deeper than friendship, stronger than understanding. The next day, the station sent a team to investigate an energy fluctuation near Kale's quarters. He had prepared, hiding her carefully, but the team still detected anomalies. As they approached, the alien's glow pulsed with intensity. Kale felt it react to his concern, as if sensing the danger and responding to him. The officers paused, scanning for source, but the readings were unlike anything their instruments could explain. Kale stepped forward calmly, acting as if nothing was unusual. "Just a minor power surge," he explained. "I'm checking the systems myself." The officers grunted, trusting his reputation as an experienced engineer. They moved on, leaving him and the alien alone. That evening, Kale sat beside her, exhausted but relieved. She leaned close, resting her head against his shoulder. Her glow was steady now, almost soothing. He placed his hand on hers, feeling the warmth, the pulse of life, the subtle but undeniable connection. "You trust me," he said softly. She hummed in response, affirming the bond. Over the following days, the alien grew more confident, her mobility improving. She explored the quarters, learned to mimic more human sounds, and even began interacting with some of the station's technology under Kale's guidance. Her glow became a constant companion, radiating calm and curiosity. Kale noticed that when they were together, she seemed to stabilize unstable systems, a subtle but noticeable effect that baffled him. Word began to spread among those who occasionally glimpsed her aura. Whispers circulated, curiosity grew, and soon, other aliens visiting the station noticed the phenomenon. Some were wary, others intrigued. Kale realized the potential. This was no longer just about one alien and a human engineer. It was about something far bigger, about humans' unexpected ability to connect, to stabilize, to influence other species in ways previously thought impossible. One evening, as Kale adjusted a panel, she approached him silently. She touched his arm and the aura flared brightly, casting the room in warm light. Then softly she repeated the word again, mate. Kale felt a surge of emotion he could not name, pride, fear, hope, and awe all at once. He understood now. Their bond was not just personal. It was biological, cultural, and potentially revolutionary. Humanity, in all its perceived weakness, had shown a strength no technology could replicate: empathy, courage, and the ability to connect across impossible divides. Kale took a deep breath, steadying himself. "If anyone tries to take you away, I will stop them," he whispered. She leaned closer, glowing softly as if acknowledging his promise. And in that moment, Kale knew that the days ahead would test them both. Danger, misunderstanding, and the unknown would come. But he also knew that together, human and alien, they could face it. The bond they shared was a force of its own, one that could change lives, and perhaps even the galaxy itself. The station had never felt so alive. A soft golden light now pulsed gently in Kale's quarters, spilling into the corridor outside whenever the alien moved about. Her glow had grown stronger with each passing day, steady and bright, but always reacting to him. It wasn't just a light, it was a presence, almost a force, and Kale felt it deeply, as if it flowed into him and strengthened him in ways he could not explain. The alien had become more confident. She no longer stayed hidden in corners or behind furniture. She explored the room freely, touched objects with curiosity, and even began experimenting with small gestures, trying to communicate. Each sound she made, each movement, seemed deliberate. Kale had learned to understand her rhythms, and she had learned to trust him completely. And always, she repeated the word mate softly, as if testing the connection, confirming it and deepening it at the same time. But life on a border station was never quiet for long. The unusual energy readings were spreading, noticed by more and more visitors, both human and alien. Reports of unexplained light and effects on nearby equipment had reached the station administration. Kale knew the authorities could arrive at any moment. If they discovered her, they might attempt to separate them, study her, or worse. He could not allow that. She was not just an alien refugee. She was his companion, chosen by her own instincts and biology. Late one evening, alarms blared through the station. Energy fluctuations, stronger than ever, were detected near Kale's quarters. He rushed to the door, the alien close behind him. Her glow flared brightly, lighting the corridor as if responding to the danger. Kale realized she was reacting to his fear, to his emotions, amplifying them and stabilizing herself at the same time. It was a bond unlike anything recorded. A team of security officers arrived, scanning for the source of the anomaly. They froze in the corridor when they saw her standing there, glowing steadily, her eyes wide and luminous. Kale stepped forward, calm but firm. "She's with me," he said simply. "There is no threat." The officers hesitated. Their instruments showed readings they had never seen before. Her energy signature was not harmful. If anything, it seemed to stabilize nearby systems. One officer reached for a communicator, but Kale shook his head. "Do not contact anyone yet. You do not understand. She is not dangerous. She is special." The alien tilted her head as if acknowledging his words. Then she stepped closer to Kale, her glow intensifying until the light surrounded them both. The officers took a step back, awestruck. The aura expanded, faintly touching the walls and equipment around them. Systems nearby stabilized instantly, monitors that had been flickering now steady, life support readings normal. Kale realized the truth. Her species had evolved to respond to trust, to empathy, to care. And humans, somehow, were uniquely compatible with that response. Where alien species might have been incompatible or fragile, humans were natural stabilizers. He could see it now. Humanity's empathy, patience, and courage were not weaknesses. They were strengths that could reshape interactions across the galaxy. News of the phenomenon spread quickly. The station's administration arrived, curious scientists in tow. They observed her closely, but Kale did not step back. He had learned long ago that fear would weaken the bond. "She is not here to be studied," he said firmly. "She came here for shelter, and I protected her. That is all. Everything else is a gift of trust and care. If you interfere, you risk more than you know." The scientists looked at each other, hesitant. Their instruments confirmed Kale's observations. The glow responded to him, and systems stabilized in his presence. No experiment could explain the effect. It was something innate, biological, emotional. Kale realized that humanity's true power was emerging here, not in weapons or technology, but in the ability to form bonds, to inspire trust, and to act with courage and kindness even when the rules were unclear. As the scientists debated, the alien made a low hum, a sound of recognition, and stepped forward. Her glow expanded further, enveloping Kale and spreading slightly across the floor. She extended her hand toward him, and he took it without hesitation. The aura surged, a brilliant golden light that filled the room, extending into the corridor beyond. Station personnel shielded their eyes, murmuring in awe. Kale felt it like a wave passing through him, filling him with clarity, strength, and understanding. He could sense her thoughts, not words but emotions and intent. Fear, trust, gratitude, and something more profound. A connection that transcended language, species, and even reason. This was not just a bond. It was a force that could unify, heal, and transform. The station council arrived shortly afterward. The alien representatives and human leaders alike were forced to witness the phenomenon. They had expected danger, instability, or confusion. Instead, they saw something extraordinary. A human and an alien, linked by empathy and trust, creating a stabilizing energy that spread to nearby systems and even affected other aliens present. The council members whispered among themselves, realizing that humans were no longer just a fledgling species at the edges of known space. They were a force capable of creating harmony across the galaxy. Kale's eyes met the alien's. She hummed softly, repeating the word mate again. The council members leaned closer, but Kale held up a hand. "Do not misunderstand," he said firmly. "This is not ownership. She chose me. Her species has a way of bonding, and our connection is mutual. It is based on trust, care, and respect. Humanity's role here is to protect, to stabilize, and to inspire, not to dominate." The alien stepped closer, and her glow brightened further, highlighting the truth of his words. The council members nodded, slowly understanding. If humans could form such bonds, they could mediate conflicts, stabilize unstable species, and foster cooperation across systems long divided by fear and mistrust. Humanity, often underestimated, had shown an ability to unite rather than destroy. In the days that followed, the alien's glow became a symbol of hope. Visitors to the station no longer saw an unknown refugee. They saw a living demonstration of humanity's unique power. Kale and the alien worked together, teaching others how care, empathy, and courage could create stability and trust. Systems that had been fragile stabilized in her presence. Tense negotiations became calm and productive. Even other alien species began to interact more openly, inspired by the bond they witnessed. Kale reflected on the journey that had brought them here. A simple act of kindness, a bed offered to a refugee, had triggered something unimaginable. The alien had chosen him as her mate, not as a possession, but as a partner in trust and survival. And in doing so, she had revealed the hidden potential of humans to the galaxy. Late one night, Kale stood beside the alien, watching the stars beyond the station windows. She hummed softly, her glow reflecting in his eyes. He placed his hand on hers, feeling the warmth, the pulse, the connection. "We've come a long way," he said quietly. She tilted her head, glowing gently, and repeated the word mate. Kale smiled, realizing that this bond was only the beginning. Humanity had always been underestimated, but here, on the edge of explored space, their true strength was clear. Not in weapons, not in technology, but in empathy, courage, and the ability to connect. He had offered shelter, and in return he had gained a partner, a companion, and a force that could change the galaxy. The station was calm now, the lights steady, the system stable. But beyond its walls, the stars waited. Other worlds, other species, all unaware of the quiet power humans had to offer. Kale knew that their bond would be tested, that dangers would come, that challenges would rise. But he also knew this. Together, he and the alien could face anything. And as the golden light pulsed softly around them, Kale realized that the galaxy had just begun to understand humanity. One act of kindness had become a force that could reshape worlds, unify species, and inspire hope. He glanced at the alien, her glow steady, her eyes luminous with trust. "We'll face it all together," he whispered. She hummed softly in reply, the word mate echoing in the quiet room. And in that moment, Kale knew humanity was no longer the underdog. It was a catalyst for change, a beacon of hope, and a species capable of greatness beyond imagination. The stars outside continued to shine, but now humanity had its own light, reflected in the glow of an alien who had chosen them. And that light would not be ignored.